like to introduce myself. I'm Kevin.
Kevin, I'm Matt. Nice to meet you.
And thank you for taking time out of your day to let me interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just have a couple questions here, if you don't mind answering for me.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so first one is just tell me a little bit about your business and what you do. What are your day-to-day responsibilities?
So we are a computer and iPhone repair company. My personal day-to-day responsibilities is overseeing the company in general. So we have 2 locations in Tallahassee. Our company fixes laptops, iPhones, all devices of that sort. I oversee staff. I work on business development projects that will help increase our company's business in the long term and just make sure the day-to-day operations are running smoothly.
Awesome. Very cool. And how did you get into the business?
I was living in New York going to grad school, and I started working part-time for a company that did just this, computer and iPhone repair.
Okay.
After a very short time working there, I actually started running and managing the company, kind of took over of all the managerial work, so learned the ins and outs of how to actually run one of these companies successfully. So when I moved down here with my wife, now wife, then fiance, thank you, we opened up a computer repair doctor.
Very nice, very nice. And what special training did you have to get into the business? Which school did you go to in New York?
I went to Columbia, but I got my master's in mechanical engineering, so it didn't really apply too much. To be honest, the only training I had was work experience. I had a background in hardware repair before, so I knew IT, I knew how to open, some of these devices. But it's just kind of on the job training. As far as the actual repairs, I didn't even do many of those at all in New York. I wasn't a tech, I was mostly just a manager. And so when I came down here, that kind of thing was put together, but the raw talents and abilities to run the company in general is something I just had to experience.
Okay, awesome. And describe how you came up with the idea for this.
Well, the idea was, as I mentioned, very similar to the business that I was working with in New York. The name, I played around with several different names before eventually deciding on computer repair doctor. I pretty much went on GoDaddy and typed in names that I thought would be clever and see if the domain was available. So I finally found one that worked for me, and then everything was available. So.
Okay. And do you have a mentor or champion that helped you develop the idea and guide you in opening the business?
Not really. I mean, I've had people in my life that help support me,
right.
Through my wife to family of all sorts. But, I mean, it was pretty much just my own idea, and I kind of just, for lack of a better term, made things up as I went along. I haven't really had a strong business mentor push me and support me and guide me through decisions, but it's helped me struggle through things and figure out how to do things on my own, and I think that makes the experience stick a little more.
Understood. And did you start the business with your own money, or did you have to borrow money? And if you borrowed money, did you have investors, or did you take a loan?
I started the business with my own money.
Okay.
So when I was working in New York as a manager there, I was able to, make a decent salary. And so I was able to save up a little money so that when we came down here, I was able to open it up myself. Luckily, this business is not overly capital intensive. It does not require hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory or equipment, as some do. They say to open a restaurant may take $500,000. Luckily, it didn't, because I didn't have $500,000. But I was able to open it of my own accord.
Okay, great, awesome. And describe the economics of opening up a different store. What's the formula you use to decide when you want to open up a store?
So, opening up a second store, it varies a little depending on if you want to open it up in the same city or the same region or a different region. So when we opened up our second store, we knew that it would partly cannibalize the sales from our current location. However, we could also benefit from the advertising that we've already been doing in Tallahassee.
Okay.
So if we were, for example, to open up a third store in Orlando, then it would just be a capital investment up front with ongoing marketing expenses, and then developing the foothold with that customer base to bring in enough jobs to support the business.
Right.
But for our second location here, we identified a need to reach more customers by getting closer to them. And so far it's been successful. We've had a good amount of business coming in through our second location.
Great to hear. Do you have any plans on opening up a new location anytime soon?
We have talks in the work, nothing set in stone, but you could follow our website over the next year. We very well may be opening up future locations to come.
Awesome. And speaking of advertising, how do you advertise for your business? What are your methods?
We advertise in a variety of ways. We do online advertising. We also do radio advertising. You might have heard of some radio. We do a number of events around town. We obviously bought and wrapped an ambulance, so we have a branded ambulance. So we like mixing up the advertising methods from some known proven methods to some untried, to kind of test the waters and see what may be best for us. But we believe that just a diverse amount of advertising can reach different crowds and different markets.
Yeah. And what are 3 pieces of advice you would give to a college student who wants to become an entrepreneur?
Number 1 would be to vet your idea. I heard a business professor speak once, and he said new entrepreneurs like to treat their ideas like a baby. They like to nurture it and take care of it and make sure their idea is well groomed for. And he says you need to take that baby and just smack it on the table and do everything you can to break it.
Yeah.
Because a new business idea is not like a baby. It needs to be thoroughly vetted. It needs to do everything you can to try to kill it. Because if you can kill your idea, somebody else can too. And so the first piece of advice is to thoroughly vet any idea that you have. A second would be realize that it takes money to make money. It's very rare, or I guess I'll say difficult, to be able to take not much of an investment and turn it into a whole lot of money easily. You can sometimes substitute hard work, but when it comes to things like marketing and advertising and reinvesting in your business, those kind of things need to be done to run a successful business. Yeah, exactly. And having skin in the game helps you stay dedicated to it. And I guess the third would be don't underestimate the amount of work it can be, the extra hours of surprises. There's always surprises. Regardless of how well you think you've planned out your idea, you have to be ready for change and things to not go quite as expected.
Okay. Awesome. And what is the best way to achieve long-term success?
Well, that's a very broad question.
Yeah.
I mean, in regards to running your own business or being an entrepreneur, it's, I guess, just having plans for your business, vetting your ideas ahead of time, doing your homework. Don't just jump into something, but, make sure that what you're getting into has a good chance of success, or at least understand the risk associated with the endeavor that you're going into. If you can do market analysis, do it. If you can establish a customer base before you launch a product, do it. One of the worst mistakes, one of the easiest mistakes to avoid, I think, is to launch a product that there's no need for. Before you invest time and money and effort into developing something, make sure that people actually want what it is you're selling.
Right.
Because without a market, your product could be great, but nobody wants it. Why make it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So just pretty much proper planning and organization things before jumping into anything.
Absolutely. That can go a long way.
Absolutely. And what sacrifices have you had to make to become an entrepreneur?
Well, there's two of the large ones are time and money. I'm in a position where my wife just started med school, so she's obviously very busy. So it kind of works well from a personal standpoint because I can invest a lot of my time in the business at the same time where she's investing a lot of time in herself and her education.
Right.
So it's not like one of us has a very demanding career and the other doesn't, because that can unbalance personal life at home.
So it kind of works out.
So that kind of works. I'm also in a point where I have not yet had kids. So had I had kids, the time demands could put a lot more stress on that. And that could be a lot more trade-off between personal and business. So from a personal, I'm at a point where it kind of works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And financially, though, investing my own money in the business, I mean, there's always costs with doing that. There's opportunity costs. What could I have been doing? Instead of opening my own business where I'm struggling to make it and put my money in and have a return, maybe I could have gotten a higher paying job with a standard 9-to-5 job, and I could be taking more regular vacations or this and that. So there's trade-offs everywhere. It just depends on the other opportunities that may have presented to you.
Right. That's pretty much all the questions I have, and I just want to thank you again for letting me into your business and letting me ask you these questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
It means a lot, and it means a lot to hear things from someone who's already in the game.
Terrific. Well, I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You as well.
But